everyone, welcome back. My name's Diana. This is my channel Bookish Di, and today I am doing my Q2 book haul. So I did not get quite as many books as the last haul that I did, thank God, because my budget cannot support that. But I did get a number of books throughout April, May, and June. Some were pre-orders, some were impulse buys, some were from my book subscription box. Yeah, so it is a mix. Similar to last time, I am going to be doing it in like different groupings. So this time it's going to be middle grade YA, adult, and then books that I got using some store credit from selling books to my local used bookstore. So to start off with the YA middle grade, the first book I bought was The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim. This is a new Rick Riordan Presents book centered on Korean mythology, and it follows a young girl who is adopted, and she is the only person in her family without magic. And so right before her older sister's ceremony to induct her into the family, they decide to try a spell that will split the magic, but it goes horribly wrong, and Gracie has to go and try and fix it. I haven't read this yet. I think I might be doing like a bunch of Rick Riordan Presents books later this summer as like a fun, light, not light read, but like just a fun reading month. So yeah, I'm very excited. I love the Rick Riordan books, and this cover looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't know much about Korean mythology, so this I think will be a lot of fun. The next one is Arusha and the City of Gold by Roshni Chokshi. This is the fourth book in the Arusha series. I am behind on these books, but this is a retelling where Aru is a reincarnation of a Pandava brother, and she and her sisters have to try and stop the Sleeper from taking over the world. Oh, and Arusha is the Sleeper's daughter. So these are a lot of fun. I love Roshni Chokshi's writing, and so my goal is to try and catch up on this series this summer, but I really love the cover, and I'm very interested to see where this ends up because there is one more book left in this series. The last middle grade book that I have is Star Wars: The High Republic, Race to Crash Point Tower by Daniel Jose Older. This is the middle grade entry into the second wave of the High Republic books. I adore the High Republic line so far. I really enjoyed the first wave of novels. I haven't caught up on the comics yet, so I can't really speak to those. But in terms of like the storytelling and how they're integrated and how each author has not only created their own characters and their own stories, but also tied it in with everything else that's going on. I have really been enjoying the High Republic. I've heard good things about Wave 2, particularly this book. It centers on the Republic Fair and two Jedi Padawans, Rom and Lula, who have to stop someone from sabotaging it. Next are my YA books. The first one I have is Theft of Sunlight by Intisar Kanani. I had read her previous book, Thorn, and absolutely loved it. And Jenny from Reading the End loved this book as well. So I decided to pick it up because I really loved Kanani's writing. I think it's really beautiful. I love her world building. I loved her characters. And so this book centers on a girl, Ray, who comes to the capital city after I believe it is her friend's sister is snatched. And this was a plot line that we had gotten in Thorn, but it wasn't really expanded on. So I'm really glad to see that Kanani is expanding it in this. There's also disability rep in this because Ray was born with a club foot. And so from what I gather, that's an important part of her story. So I'm really excited for this. There's going to be a sequel to this, which makes me excited and worried at the same time, but I think this will be a good read. Next is Aetherbound by E.K. Johnston. So if you've seen my mid-year mid-year book freakout tag. You know, this is one of my most anticipated books that I haven't read yet because I'm like honestly a little scared that it won't live up to my expectations. So this is E.K. Johnston's new YA novel. It centers on a young woman, Pent Harland, who grows up on a ship where she doesn't actually have the right powers to be useful to this ship. So she's treated like a waste of space and a waste of resources. So she plots her escape on Bannock Station, where she meets up with two brothers, Ned and Fisher. And the way it's been described, this book has been described as Jupiter Ascending meets the Fisher King, meets the Newfoundland cod fisheries collapse. And I've read the first couple of pages, and the world building just sounds super interesting. So I don't know if I'm going to be reading this physical book, which again is beautiful, or if I'm going to be listening to the audiobook, which I also own because Ashley Eckstein is reading it, and she's the voice of Ahsoka Tano, who is one of my favorite characters. You can kind of see her back there, all my little Funkos. So yeah, I'm very, very looking forward to finally reading this. And the last two YA books I have were two books from my Owl Crate subscription. The first one is Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. And this is a Jamaican-inspired fantasy centered on two rival witches, one of whom has been imprisoned because her family was overthrown, and the other of whom who's the daughter of the ruler, who is trying to free herself from her mother's machinations. It's a big chunky book, but it looks beautiful, and everything I've heard about it makes me really excited to read it. And then the last YA book is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. This is a climate fiction, science fiction YA novel, and it centers on two sisters, C and Casey, who are separated and trying to find each other. And I've had some friends who've read his other book, Descendant of the Crane, and adored it. They said that the writing was really good. There's a really good twist. And so this had been on books that I wanted to read. And so I was really excited to see this show up in my Owl Crate subscription box. I love the exclusive cover. It's absolutely gorgeous. It has the embossed hardcover. Yeah, so very excited to have my own copy of this. Next up, I have my adult books. So the first one I have is Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells. This is the new Murderbot novella. I read this and I loved it. It was fantastic. It was like coming home. It was really great to see Murderbot on Preservation Station and it trying to adjust to its new position, as well as dealing with potential threats to Dr. Mensah and the other members of its team. And yeah, I adored this book. It was great. I need more Murderbot in my life. The next book is Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. This is her new novel. It centers on Jess Monteo, who moves back home and finds herself haunted by the ghost of her grandmother. And I've heard good things about this. I loved Zen Cho's previous novels, Sorcerer to the Crown and The Shrew Queen. And so I'm very interested to see what she does with a more contemporary fantasy, because the other two books were Regency-esque period fantasies. So I think this should be very different, but also with Zen Cho's amazing writing. Next is a book I was very excited for. It is Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison. This is a companion novel to The Goblin Emperor. I love The Goblin Emperor. It is one of my absolute favorite fantasy books. And when I heard that she was doing something in the same world, this was an automatic pre-order for me. I haven't read this yet, but I will. I'm going to try reading it soon. But I'm so excited. I've heard very good things about it. And I'm really excited to go back to that world, because the world building in The Goblin Emperor was just so good and interesting. And so I'm very excited to see a different angle of that world building, because the main character in this one, he is no longer part of the imperial court. So I'm very interested to see like what the day-to-day life in that world is. Next, I have a book from one of my favorite authors. It is Angel of the Overpass by Shauna McGuire. This is the third book in her Ghost Road series. So this is a book where things have changed for Rose Marshall, and including the rules that she's been living by in terms of being chased by Bobby Cross, or chasing Bobby Cross, who's the man who killed her and caused her to become a ghost. So this, I do need to catch up on the encrypted books first before reading this, because I know that stuff that happens in the last Antimony book, which is That Ain't Witchcraft, I believe. Yeah, I think it's That Ain't Witchcraft, directly leads into things in this book. So I need to catch up on that whole universe first, but I adore these covers. They're amazing. So another thing to add to my list of stuff to read. Next is A Master of Djinn by P. Djeli Clark. This is based on his short story, A Dead Djinn in Cairo. It's a full-length novel. I love Clark's writing. I adored Ring Shout, which I read earlier this year. I read The Black God's Drums. So this I was very excited to pick up. I've heard very good things about it. And yeah, I need to catch up on this world first, but I love this cover. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Next, I have two books from Silvia Moreno Garcia. The first is the reissue of The Beautiful Ones. This is a fantasy novel of manners. And so one thing I actually really love about Moreno Garcia is that each book she writes is incredibly distinct. She switches genres and tones and characters. And so I'm very interested to see what she does with this. This was published 2017 or 2018, I believe. And then she acquired the rights back from the initial publisher and sold them to Tor, along with the rights to Certain Dark Things, which I adored. I love that book. I own a copy, and I'm actually considering getting the reissue copy because that cover is also gorgeous. But anyway, so I haven't read this book, but I love Garcia's writing, so I think this will be something I enjoy. And then the other Garcia book that I picked up was Return of the Sorceress. This is her novella by Subterranean Press. It takes place in a it sounds Mesoamerican inspired. And so it follows a sorceress Yaxi who is trying to regain the source of her power. Then I got How to Find a Princess by Alyssa Cole. This is the second book in her Runaway Royal series. And I love Cole's romances. This is an Anastasia-inspired sapphic romance with Order Goblin and a Chaos Goblin. And so super excited. I'm like saving this for a rainy day. This is like my break glass in case of emergency book because everything about it just sounds so good. The final two adult books that I have are both Star Wars books. Surprise! So the first is the print up of the Dr. Aphra audiobook by Sarah Kuhn. This I had read last year and I loved. Dr. Aphra is a rogue archaeologist who is absolutely a disaster lesbian. She is so great. And so this is like a retelling of the first volume of the Darth Vader comics. But what Sarah Kuhn does with this is she really takes advantage of the audio format. And so this book is framed like Dr. Aphra is narrating her memoir. And so it does things like note to self delete later, or like rewinds and starts again. And the audiobook itself is really great. I do like to have print copies of all the Star Wars books except for Heir to the Jedi, which was an awful book and I don't want to buy it. But yeah, so it's screenplay format. I loved this audiobook or audiobook. I mean, it's fantastic. Would highly, highly recommend it. And then the last Star Wars book I have is The Rising Storm by Cavan Scott. This is the adult novel in the second wave of the High Republic Publishing Initiative. I got the special edition copy from out of print. It came with a tote bag, which I'm going to be using for various knitting projects because you can never have too many knitting tote bags. But this takes place at the Republic Fair, where the Republic is trying to highlight everything it does, and the Nihil are going to ruin that for them. So this cover is absolutely beautiful. There are a couple of different covers out there, but I decided to go with this one because thematically it matches the cover for Light of the Jedi that I already own. I've heard that this is both good and devastating, so that should be exciting. The last set of books are books that I got from store credit at my local used bookstore because I did an unhaul. I didn't film it because it was just a mishmash of books I read and didn't like, books that I had been carting around for 5 years, like ever since I left DC, older books that had been at my parents' place and then they're like, you're moving, get rid of them or take them with you. So yeah, so I got rid of a lot of books and I got a bunch of store credit, so I bought more books. Anyway, so this is what I got. So the first one is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. This is a fantasy queer retelling of The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby was actually a book that I really enjoyed reading in school, and I've heard this was fantastic. Jenny was raving about it, so I decided to use my store credit and get it. The cover is very beautiful, and I think this will be a good read. The next one is, surprising no one, a Star Wars book. It is Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Good. This is the second book in Timothy Zahn's new Thrawn trilogy. There's like 3 Thrawn trilogies. There's the Legends one, there's the new, like the Thrawn trilogy, and this is the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy. Anyway, so this is dealing with Thrawn's backstory in the Chiss Ascendancy. I haven't read the first one yet, but as I said earlier, I like to own all the Star Wars books, so I just picked this up since I had the credit. And then lastly, for store credit buys, I ended up buying all of Tasha Suri's books because they had the first 2 and I decided to pre-order her new one. So I got Empire of Sand, Realm of Ash, and The Jasmine Throne. These are all Indian-inspired fantasies. These 2 are companion novels, and then The Jasmine Throne is the start of a new series. I've heard fantastic things about all of them. I've had a lot of friends who love Tasha Suri's writing, say it's really great. So I decided just to get them all because I had the credit. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for these. I think they will be very good reads. So that is my Q2 book haul. Number of books, some I've read, a lot of which I haven't, but I'm very excited for them. I think all of them will measure up to my expectations. So do any of these books sound interesting? Have you read any of these books and enjoyed them, didn't enjoy them, have mixed feelings? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.